Yesterday, I received a call from one of my friends asking me about a new idea for a project that no one had set up before to invest his savings in. My first response was, why a new idea? There are many ideas for existing projects that you can start. But he, on the other hand, was convinced that if he wanted to succeed, he must come up with a new idea that no one has implemented before. In fact, there are many people who think that imitation is bad, while most of the international brands we know imitate each other. So what indicates that innovation is a guarantee of commercial success? And how do we find an idea for a project to invest in? Why is copying an existing project possibly the best option? And if we want to imitate, what project should be chosen? And most importantly of all, this is what makes a copycat idea succeed and a new idea fails? In the 70s, the printer industry was considered one of the most successful industries, and anyone who wanted to make big profits was entering this field. But success in this field was never easy because at that time there was an American company called Xerox that controlled more than 85% of the global market. At the same time, there were Japanese companies working in the same field, but they only worked locally until Canon decided to expand into international markets. But the managers at Canon knew that competing with Xerox was an almost impossible task. This is due to the financial and marketing resources of that company, which are many times what they own. For this reason, the Japanese conducted a gap analysis of the printer market to identify what are called market gaps to be exploited to enter the market. Market gaps are gaps that exist between supply and demand for a particular product or service. For example, there is a specific product available in limited colors, but buyers prefer other colors. Therefore, there is an unmet demand, which represents a new opportunity for newcomers. After the analysis, Britain was chosen as a starting point because the Scottish market was not a big one and there was no strong competition in it, and as soon as Canon's share in this market reached 40% and secured some decent financial and human resources, the company decided to compete with Xerox in larger markets such as London, and they got a decent share. The moral of this story is that the success of a project is not linked to whether the project was innovative or imitated. The most important thing is that there is a market for this project, and if there is already a market for the product, we must find loopholes that we can enter through. It is worth noting that all product markets have gaps, but we must research and analyze closely to find them. Which leads us to an important question. How can we find these gaps? The first way we can do this is to study the competitors. Suppose we are going to set up a coffee shop. Before investing any penny in the project, we must study the other cafes, their strengths and weaknesses, and the extent to which it covers consumers. The second way that enables us to know the gaps is the study of consumers. It is necessary to know if consumers are satisfied with the services or products offered by competitors, and thus knowing the problems or points that are not available in the already offered products. Identifying market loopholes is the first step, while the second step is tight execution. We can find a loophole in the market and then we can draw up a solid plan to exploit it. But this plan may fail, and thus because of something experts call the gap between strategy and execution. Failure has many causes. For example, we may fail to find workers who have the required skills, neglect to communicate with workers, or mismanagement of the financial resources of the project. All the previous points, if applied correctly in any project, will lead to its success. It is necessary to find a gap in the market and exploit it through the good implementation of the business strategy. And for the correct implementation, it is necessary to imitate successful projects in that field. There is a business strategy called to imitate and develop. This strategy has many advantages, but unfortunately it is oppressed in front of the wave of entrepreneurship, which convinced many that the only way to succeed in business is through innovation. It is true that the word imitation has a bad effect on the ears of some, but the advantage of the strategy of imitation and development makes the number of unknown variables in the project few, which makes the probability of success greater. In the end, I will ask you a question as usual. What do you think is the most difficult obstacle facing people who want to start projects? Is it the absence of the idea or the lack of sufficient capital? As usual, I will follow all your answers in the comments, and if you liked the episode, support us with a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in an upcoming video.